had there been an intervention, the child that I was could have been spared so much trauma, so much pain. And I turned around and I victimized so many people because I didn't know how to process and deal with the trauma that I had. And that's the sick cycle that happens to traumatized individuals. They go out and they hurt people.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Onion Soup. And I'm really excited to talk to our guest today, Mr. Sonny Von Cleveland. How are you doing today, Sonny?
I am doing fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So I was really excited to just hear about your story. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, I'm a motivational speaker and author and entrepreneur. I call myself the ex-contrepreneur, coined that phrase. I'm an ex-convict. I served 18 years in prison when I was 16. And I speak about mental health, trauma recovery, overcoming, resilience. And I teach people how to be successful after you've made mistakes in your life. And I'm the founder and executive director of the Von Cleveland Foundation, a new nonprofit out here in California. And I also own a cat cafe.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah. I was born and raised out in Michigan and then moved to Cleveland, Ohio for 5 years after I was released from incarceration. I met my wife on a podcast. She was in England. I was in Cleveland. And we decided to venture out west and start our life together. So she flew out, I drove out, and here we are. 3.5 years later or so, we're doing pretty well out here in the desert and loving and living life to its fullest, man.
Wow, man, that's beautiful. I love to hear that. So one thing that really struck me about your journey was you say that while you were incarcerated, you met a religious Muslim individual, and this really started you on your path towards, I don't know, spirituality?
There was definitely spirituality involved. I cover it extensively in my book, Hey White Boy, Conversations of Redemption, which it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, anywhere you can get it. Yeah, I was given 5 years in solitary confinement in 2008, and across the hall was a Muslim man. He was a Moabite, and he called over to me, and the reason for the title of the book, he yelled over there, "Hey, white boy, come talk to me." And I refused. I didn't want to talk to him. In the beginning, I was very heavily associated with my gang, and I had seen in his window that he had the 7 seals of Islam in there, which identified him as a Moabite. So we weren't friends. Like we didn't get along. There's no reason for you to talk to me. Don't talk to me. And he kept calling over all the time. And I just kept cussing him out. About a week later, I was taken down to see the Security Classification Committee, and they gave me 60 months in the hole. And I went back, and of course he called back over again. And at that point I was just like, I don't know, loneliness had kicked in. And what do you want to talk about? And the first thing he ever said to me outside of, "Hey, white boy," was, "Why are you so angry?" And I said, "What the hell kind of question is that? What are you, a therapist? Like, because I'm in prison, my life sucks. I'm in the hole. You won't shut up. There's lots of reasons why I'm angry." And he said, "No, that's why you're mad. Mad is a surface emotion. Anger is much deeper, and you're a very angry young man." And it took me back. I didn't know how to respond. I just, shut up. Went back to my cell, right? And eventually he called again, and I figured, what do I have to lose? I have nothing to lose by talking to this guy. We're down here in the hole. We're at the very end of the hallway. It's just he and I. That's all I can see. I can't see anybody else. You can hear all the shenanigans that are going down, but can't see anybody else. And so I just decided to tell this man about my life. And once I started, like, the floodgates opened up, and I just dumped all my stuff on this guy. And I guess there was a part of me that anticipated that he was going to empathize or feel sorry for me or say, "Oh, man, it's okay, man. You didn't deserve that." But no, okay, we ain't nothing you can do about it now. And he became my mentor, man. He sent me over the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He said, "I want you to read something." He sent it over. And that book really changed my life. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I expected it to be like another prison book. And one of the sentences that stuck out the most to me in there was, suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it has a meaning.
Mhm.
And for me, my life was really bad up to that point. And even at that time, it was still pretty bad. And it just rang true. I could give my suffering a meaning. What does that look like? And then he started sending me over a ton of other books and putting me through programs and these exercises, right? And one of the most profound ones was write your obituary. And to this date, it's one of the most profound exercises I've ever done in my life. And I teach people to do the same thing, to write your own obituary from the perspective of 5 people. And these 5 people are going to speak at your funeral. What are these 5 people going to say? And when you do that, you have a blueprint for the rest of your life. You can't pursue or achieve things in your life if you don't know what you want. And so I think a lot of people get stuck up on the purpose in life. What's my purpose? What's my purpose in life? The purpose of life is to live, right? There is no, you don't have a predestined purpose, right? Your purpose is to live life. The concept that people are looking for, in my opinion, for a purpose is whatever your passion is, what it is that brings joy and happiness to your heart. And so thankfully, with this man schooling me for 19 months, I learned about compassion and empathy and kindness and love. And I dedicated my life to helping people ever since. And it wasn't an easy transition, right? It was very difficult. There was many hours of pacing and talking to myself and crying and screaming and yelling and just being angry. I've been through a lot. I've been molested by multiple men when I was a child. I was raped the first week I was in prison. I've been stabbed. I've been betrayed. My brother is the stepfather to my oldest son. Lots of just madness in my life. And I learned how to process that and just let it go. And when you can, you look at your life like a timeline, right? And where you want to go. And even if you don't want to, where are you going? It's that way. And where are you not going? Where's the past? The past is that way, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. You get a new opportunity to start your life every second. Right now, we just got an opportunity to start a new life. And then right now, we got another opportunity. See what I'm saying? So every moment of every day is an opportunity to live the life of your dreams and start moving forward. And nothing about the past can affect you unless you allow it to, right? It does not have space to exist if you don't give it room to breathe.
Wow.
I know that was just a couple of minutes. Sorry, I have a
No, perfectly fine. I love it, honestly. And one of my first questions actually was, when you sat down to write down your own obituary, was that really about you getting over the idea of death or setting up your life for the future?
definitely was setting up my life for the future. He didn't tell me what the end result was going to be or what it was that we were shooting for. In fact, when he first told me to do it, I wrote it in 10 minutes and I sent it back over there. And he took all of 30 seconds to read it and was like, "You died today? You died right now? This is trash. Take it back, rewrite it. Imagine the life that you want to live. There's no boundaries, there's no limits, there's no barriers. Imagine what these people will say at your funeral if you have the life that you can dream of living." And so I rewrote it, and then I would send it back, and he would send it back and say, "It's not detailed enough. Go in more depth." Send it back. "Oh, no, these 3 people are saying the same thing. Diversify." So I would go back and kept writing it. It took a long time. It took about a month or so. But when I finally finished it, I had a roadmap, right? I had a blueprint. And that's what he pointed out. He's like, "Now, read, that's what you aspired to do in your life. Those are the goals that you want." And when I read it back, it was almost like I was reading it for the first time, even though I spent a month writing it, looking at it as, I want to build foundations that help people. I want to open multiple businesses around the world. I want to be a leader. I want to leave a legacy that my sons will look back and say, "My father had one hell of a life and left the world a better place than it was when he came here, in spite of all the challenges and trauma that he endured." And so I don't think it had anything to do with the past. It didn't have anything to do with dying. It didn't have anything to do with the death of the self. It was literally the blueprint for the rest of your life. You cannot move forward if you don't know what you want. If you don't have self-awareness and you can't identify the future that you want, you're literally just existing in limbo and you're moving forward off of instinct. And if you don't have a solid state of mind, your instincts can lead you astray, right? If your mindset is not geared toward something that intrinsically brings you happiness and joy, you're bound to run into trouble, into problems, into stress, into depression, into sadness. And this is the result of having an unclear mind and not having a delineated path in your life.
So one thing that I encounter with most people is that when they come up to me and they ask me about their purpose and how do they find their purpose, and I 100% agree with you, it's not really about your purpose, it's about your passion. How do you help people drill in on that passion?
What would you do for free? What would you do if you had $10 million right now? You got $10 million right now in your life. There's no time constraints. There's no money constraints. What would you do with your life? And it's surprising how many people don't know, right? A lot of people come with that very instinctive answer, like I'd buy a house, I'd buy a car, I'd take care of my family, I'd take care of my kid. And that's all surface answers. That's what society has made you believe that's what you want to do, right? That's what the world tells you want to do. But what would you do if money and time were not an issue? You've taken care of the family. You got $10 million. Your family and your kids, everybody else is taken care of. What does your day-to-day life look like? What are you going to do? And a lot of people don't know. And it comes from a lack of self-awareness. It comes from a lack of drive and passion and knowing what they want. But a lot of times, you work them through it, they come down to, I want to travel the world. Most people have that at their core because we're nomadic by nature. Most people want to travel and see the world, right? There's this big, if you zoom out, man, we are just this tiny little speck in an endless galaxy. And we have that nomadic nature at heart that we want to travel and we want to see the world. And I think that cultural diversity is such a gift, right? To be able to travel the world and see different cultures. We're so Americanized over here that we really have no idea how vast the world is and what there is in the world. I think the best education for anybody when you turn 18 is to put a rucksack on your back and go backpack across the world.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny because when I talk to people about just my life and my path and my journey, I purposely spent my 20s to travel and to go experience and just diversify.
That's
And then
beautiful.
and I chose to take the 30s to find the passion. Didn't know exactly what that was. That's what we're doing now. And I
Right.
love it. Like, this is my
I
passion.
actually just met with a friend of mine yesterday, and he broke that timeline down for me. He said, up until you're 25, that's just living. 25 to 35 is making mistakes. 35 to 45 is figuring out what you want to do. And 45, you have 10 years up to your 55 to do that thing, and then 55 on to enjoy it. If you can hone in on that timeline, it's beautiful. I don't want to retire when I'm 55. I want to retire tomorrow, right? So I do everything I can to live a healthy, wealthy life of purpose and abundance. Purpose for me is not what am I sent here or called here to do. It's what can I do that will leave a stamp of positivity, love, kindness on the world. That's a purpose. It's not my purpose. My purpose is to live life, right?
Yeah. So why did you hone in on the idea that you really want to help people, as opposed, well, help people in the way that you're doing it, as opposed to, I don't know, be a merchant of some kind and selling some type of physical item?
For me, it came back to the abused child that I was. I can go back and pinpoint so many moments in my life where a mentor could have altered my path. If you ask me what I would go back and change about my life, nothing. I wouldn't go back and change a thing. I would do it all again because where I'm at now is the happiest I could ever imagine being. And I have such a passion for life and what I'm doing. But had there been an intervention, the child that I was could have been spared so much trauma, so much pain. And I turned around and I victimized so many people because I didn't know how to process and deal with the trauma that I had. And that's the sick cycle that happens to traumatized individuals. They go out and they hurt people. And so when I came to the realization of, I don't know how I'm worthy of being liked or loved or accepted in the world, I came to terms that I have to forgive myself. I have to be forgiven, even though I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how to reach out to people that I don't even know their names, that were the victims of my anger or my greed. How do I get that forgiveness? And I just wrote them letters, and I read those letters out, and I put so much remorse and the heartfelt love into those letters. It came to me that, man, why don't I teach this to people? Because I've always been this gregarious, outgoing extrovert. I hid that a lot because of the abuse that I was going through. So I became this very introverted kid. But when I shed all that trauma and all that emotion and pain, I'm left with, who do I want to be? I want to be a charismatic extrovert that helps people. I thrive off the energy of other people, and I love to hear other people's stories. So what can I do? And it had just so happened that after 19 months of being in solitary with him, that the administration had came to me with this course called Thinking for a Change. It's a new program that the Department of Corrections was implementing, and they wanted inmates to teach it, to teach the class. So they were looking for core inmates to teach it. Now, I, up to that point, was not one of those inmates, right? I was not a good person, but I had started to write essays while I was in the hole with Mallory, and they started to get the attention of the administration. I even won a couple of competitions that were inside the facility. And they came to me and said, would you be interested in teaching this class? If you'd study this course material, we'll let you out of the hole early and you can teach this class. And so that's where, when I read through the material, I discovered, wow, I really, knowing what I know now and being in the state of mind that I'm in now and seeing this material, I could teach these guys how to stop being such self-destructive, self-sabotaging, hateful, and spiteful people, because that's who I was. And everything that this man had just helped me to learn is pretty much summarized in here in Thinking for a Change, and how to think for a change. And so I agreed. And I went and I taught some classes on this, and I developed this love of teaching and this love of mentoring. A mentor saved my life, and now I want to mentor other people. And so how do I pay that forward? And so after I got out, I got into music. Music has always been a saving grace for me my whole life. And when I got out, I started to pursue music as a career, because that was one of the goals that I had in my life. And I did really well. And I just kind of got caught after 18 years of being incarcerated. You get desensitized to the world. You forget what freedom feels like. And so getting out there, I was inundated with all these new emotions. I got a girl pregnant awfully quick, so I have an opportunity to be a father again. I got into music and was really successful really quickly. So I had this big fan base of people that adored me. And it was a lot to take in and process mentally as this person that had just done all this time. So I lost focus of, I want to build these foundations and teach and mentor and help people. I was still kind. Kindness is my navigator. But I was just doing music until I came to that moment during COVID. Like, I'm really just living for myself, right? I'm living just to satisfy my own ego. And that's not what I wanted to do. All of the things that I went through was not in vain. There's a calling, and there was something I wanted to accomplish. So I started to focus on that. When I got with my wife, we came out here and started to design all these things. And that's how the foundation was born, out of my desire to teach people what I've taught, give them the materials that I was given. And most of the people that have been marginalized or justice impacted, they can't afford this kind of stuff. Like, mindset coaching is expensive. Books are expensive. And access to these types of materials is is not really ubiquitous for these types of people, right? Most of these people are homeless or drug addicts or poor or incarcerated. They don't have access to this stuff. So I built a foundation to give it away, to give it to them. And that's where we're at.
I love that. I 100% agree with you. I think all of the people that actually need this work, that need the help, simply can't afford it. And I think
Sure.
it's so sad that it's marginalized for the wealthy. But
100%. There's such a separation that exists here. The Tony Robbins of the world, the Gary Vaynerchuks, and even the Eric Thomases of the world, great human beings, great speakers. I'm sure they've got their own skeletons and demons in their closet. But who can afford that? Who can afford? I do pretty well in life. I'm in several businesses. I can't afford to go to a Tony Robbins event. These things are expensive. So how do we expect the people that truly need this kind of help to be able to attend these things? They can't. So I decided to start designing mindset libraries and donating them to these facilities, putting them in juvenile halls and rehab facilities and homeless shelters. Here's the material. It's right here.
yeah, and it's best to have it, because the people that need it, not necessarily need it, but the people who want it and are craving that information, it just needs to be available for them.
Facts.
But one thing that I want to ask you about is, what is Be the Phoenix?
For me, the Phoenix, it is the symbol of overcoming. It's the symbol of redefining, reinventing yourself. And we all have that capability to do that. The Phoenix is the mythological, legendary creature that it is. It destroys itself in flames and then reemerges as a new, beautiful, better version of itself. And I understand that we have to destroy the outer ego. We have to destroy the self that we are in order to re-blossom into something beautiful with a new mindset. And that's the goal, is to break yourself down, let go of the past, and send it up in flames, right? Let it go, send it off into the universe, and re-emerge as a new, redesigned, reinvented, better version of yourself, and be that beautiful creature, right? Like every human being has the opportunity to be this beautiful reimagination of itself. Right? No, none of us we're not beholden to the things that we've been through, right? A phoenix before its transition is this ratty, broke down, dirty animal, right? This creature that is just, it's been through everything, and it gets to a point where it's sick of it and it starts to shed, and it can't just change it. So it has to do that internal work, and you set fire to it and you destroy it. And when you set fire to something, it becomes smoke and ash, and smoke and ash gets carried through the universe to who knows where, right? Smoke will endlessly rise, and it goes off into the universe somewhere forgotten. And that's what Be the Phoenix is. Let go of all the things that have held you down, all the pain and the trauma in your past. Let it go and redefine yourself into this beautiful creation of what that you have the potential and the worth to be.
For somebody that's just getting started on this path, what would you say to them when they're judging themselves? How do you come from a place of non-judgment with the self in order to move on?
You have to first define kindness, right? What does kindness look like? If somebody's done you wrong, think back all the times that somebody's ever done you wrong in your life. And how do you feel about that right now? In this moment, identify it. How does that, you probably don't care, right? If somebody stole from you when you were 14, you probably don't have that much resentment. You probably don't really care about it. And so everybody makes mistakes. Nobody comes to this world with a guidebook that says, here's how you do life. We inherit this from our parents or our guardians, whoever is there. If you don't have parents, some people have grandparents, aunts, uncles, but our immediate surroundings are what form our predisposition to the world. And when we learn to forgive and let go and realize that nobody has the guide map, you can let it go and forgive yourself, because you're a human being. You're going to make a mistake. You're still going to make mistakes. And forgiveness is the key. Forgiving yourself is the capstone to being able to move forward, right? Because you can't change it. You can't fix it. There's nothing you can do about it. So why let it hold you down? Right. And just beat that narrative in that you can't change. I like to take a glass of water and throw it. And everybody's, oh my God. Well, what are we going to do about it? We have a couple of options, right? There's things we can control, things we can't control. One thing we can't control here is that the floor is wet and it's all over the place. We can't control that. That's in existence. What can we do? We can get a towel. We can clean it up. We can analyze why I did it. But that's not going to change the fact that the water's on the ground, right? It doesn't matter why it happened. The fact is it happened, and what can we do about it now? We can clean it up and move forward, and nobody's really going to lose any sleep. It's a glass of water on the floor. We can just clean it up. And while people will say a glass of water is not the same as being victimized by a predator as a child, our mind doesn't know the difference between varying levels of trauma. Trauma is trauma, right? Like we take trauma and inherit. And I'm not, it's a very controversial position to have because people don't like the truth. Most people don't want to hear it because then it takes away their excuse. It takes away your excuse to continue in your victimization, right? And that's the hardest part for people is when people are victimized, they want that validation. They want that, let me fix that. Sorry. They want that validation. They want people to recognize that they've been hurt and that they've been abused. But that recognition is not going to change the fact that you were hurt and abused, right? Nothing is going to take that away. And when you can learn to say, whatever I go through, any amount of therapy, counseling, even if I beat somebody up that did me wrong, nothing's going to change the fact that I was already wrong. And when that starts to sink in and they start to realize I can't change any of it, and I'm wasting so much time looking this way, I'm missing everything that's right here. And so then it just becomes a battle of what do you care about more? What's to come or what's already gone? If that's the case, give me all your money. I'll take all your money, man, because you're more focused back here than you are